From popular fashion brands to harmless clothing and shoe colors, the NBA has a history of banning anything they don't like. Players have to comply with the ever-changing rules or risk getting fined thousands of dollars for breaking the rules. The league normally provides an explanation for its bans, and while some can be bizarre, most of the reasoning is usually sound. Black and red Air Jordan 1. With new rules that allow players to wear whatever shoes they want, the iconic Jordan 1 isn't really banned anymore. But once upon a time, NBA regulation mandated that players wear shoes that complemented their jerseys, and this boot had hues that didn't work for the majority of NBA squads.
On September 15th, Nike created a revolutionary new basketball shoe. On October 18th, the NBA threw them out of the game.
The NBA still has stringent regulations regarding the footwear its players may wear on the court, but instead of focusing on aesthetics, players can't wear shoes that'll give them an unfair advantage. Performance-enhancing shoes. The NBA has had a long-standing policy of banning shoes that they call enhancing shoes. This pair of shoes, according to the businesses that make them, are designed to automatically propel the user upward whenever he or she takes a running jump. One of the popular bans was Athletic Propulsion Labs' shoe, which they dubbed Concept 1. The sneakers were a huge success for APL, but the NBA banned them before the 2010-2011 season. Ironically, the restriction went into effect on the 25th anniversary of the NBA's ban on Nike's Air Jordan 1 black and red sneakers. Upside-down headband. The NBA officially prohibited players from wearing their headbands in an inverted position after a few notorious players made it a trend for league matches.
It's part of uniform now. Like I put on my shoes, like I put on my jersey, I gotta put on my headband.
Modern players, in an effort to stand out from their colleagues while wearing identical jerseys, use whatever equipment is legal. In 2010, Rajon Rondo, then a guard for the Boston Celtics, started donning a headband with an inverted NBA emblem. One would think something like that would go unnoticed, but nope. Everyone loved it and had a different explanation for the style.
It was a headband, the headband was talking to me. The headband told me to keep shooting. I just listened.
Everyone except the league board. Rondo stopped wearing his sweatband when the NBA warned him to flip it right side up or risk disciplinary action. Dark goggles. Different sports have different gears for their players to use, and some come as a result of personal issues unique to players. Many athletes with eye defects can be seen wearing special goggles, and while that isn't banned, the NBA has reservations about what the color can be. Wade, a former athlete, used to get terrible headaches from all the bright lights, so he started wearing tinted goggles to protect his eyes. Unfortunately for him, the NBA has prohibited this goggle on the grounds that his opponents won't be able to see his eyes, which is a huge disadvantage given how important eyesight is to the game of basketball. Unsanctioned brands and personal logos. As they did many years ago, professional athletes continue to make money by acting as the public face of various brands in exchange for endorsement agreements and other financial compensation. After the NBA and Nike struck a contract to personalize all NBA teams' jerseys a few years later, the league made it illegal for players to wear their own logos during games. So even though players are free to get endorsements and sponsorships as they please, they are not permitted to make any form of advertisement while on the court, especially during league games. Haircuts with a logo. You heard that right, players are banned from having hairstyle designs or inscriptions that promote brands. Former New York Knicks player Iman Shumpert got in trouble with the NBA in 2013 for wearing an Adidas logo in his iconic box haircut to show his support for the brand. The NBA rulebook states that the only piece containing a commercial logo which may be worn by players is their shoes. The NBA knew that if they did not specify this, players and brands would take advantage of it, and almost everyone would have logos on their hair. Fashion Band-Aid. Dwayne Wade and other players in the NBA were once fined and suspended from the league for non-medical Band-Aid use on the face. At first, the Flash wore the bandage because he suffered a laceration on his left cheek that required medical attention. A printed version with the American flag, his Flash moniker, and even his own surname, Wade, was worn long after the injury had healed, and soon it became a fashion statement. Unfortunately, in 2009, the NBA made the decision to prohibit the use of Band-Aids for any reason other than first aid. So even though players can still use Band-Aids in matches, it's not something they can use throughout the season. Necklaces. Many famous players in the 1970s and 1980s accessorized their games with gold chains. The likes of Wilt Chamberlain, Julius Dr. J. Irving, Nate Thurmond, Daryl Chocolate Thunder Dawkins, and Michael Jordan rarely ever played games without wearing them. And at dunk contests, it was almost like there was a special category for who had more bling.
This wasn't a planned thing like it is now. He just went back and did his thing. More than 75 feet.
Just a little over the line.
Shucks, man.
The NBA finally prohibited players from wearing chains and pendants on the court due to concerns that it posed a choking threat to the players and might potentially do more damage than good. Earrings. Imagine being elbowed and you have earrings on. It can be problematic. Earrings are a common example of the kinds of jewelry that are not allowed in the NBA. Earrings are not permitted in any team activities, including games, practices, and public appearances. They pose a safety risk if they get snagged on equipment or other players. A player is free to wear them if he isn't on the roster for the game. Timepieces and bracelets. Earrings and other forms of headgear aren't the only jewelry and accessories that players can't wear in the NBA. Anything that might cause harm to the player or another person is banned as well. Various types of jewelry such as watches, necklaces, and bracelets fall under this category. Do-rags. A do-rag is a tight-fitting fabric wrapped around the top of the head. The do-rag has become a common kind of African-American dress and is a fashion statement anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, it only had a limited run in the NBA before being prohibited by the organization. Sam Perkins, a center for the Indiana Pacers at the time, donned a do-rag to an NBA exhibition game in 2000. Soon after, the league realized that the item posed a threat to player safety and outlawed its use during games. Perkins, meanwhile, made headlines as the first and only NBA player to ever wear a do-rag on the court. Players in the National Basketball Association are required to follow a rigorous dress code that includes wearing team-issued uniforms at all times. So any headgear that is not part of a player's official team uniform is also prohibited in the NBA. The phrase encompasses not only baseball caps, but also beanies and other headwear. So it's no surprise that the next item is on our list. Ninja-style headbands. Although it is uncommon for NBA players to wear headgear due to the established rules, a handful has experimented with ninja-style headbands. Several seasons ago, Jimmy Butler, Drew Holiday, and Montrezl Harrell briefly donned the Nike Ninja headband, but the NBA soon outlawed the item. Due to several irregularities in the headwear's size, the NBA outlawed these headbands before the start of the 2019-2020 season. The NBA had to advise the players to stop wearing them because, in quote, it generated safety concerns. These headbands were also declared unprofessional by the league. This is sad because they really looked cool and are one of the things the NBA should have let stay. Anyways, let's be grateful for the one season of joy the Ninja headbands brought us. Kanye West's Yeezy shoes. Yee has been in the headlines for a lot of things, and once upon a time, it had to do with his Yeezy brand in the NBA. All sneakers must have the league's official approval before being worn in games, and the league makes sure different things like the sole, material, heel, color, engravings, and even the silhouette fit their standards. The NBA banned Kanye West's Yeezy basketball sneakers before any Adidas player could wear them that season, even though people used them around the world, and the reviews were pretty good.
A pair of Kanye's Red October Nike sneakers popped up on my feed, and that was the first time that I stopped to look at a sneaker, just from a purely piece of art point of view.
It's easy to guess what the problem with the shoe was without even looking at it closely. The silhouette and colorway of Yeezy's initial basketball sneaker were compliant with all regulations, but the 3M panel prevented them from ever being released as they could reflect light into players' eyes during games. Tattoos. The NBA has guidelines about which tattoos players are permitted to get. Having any tattoos that may be seen as obscene or indecent, as well as any tattoos on the neck or face, is strictly forbidden for players. The National Basketball Association has reluctantly come to terms with the reality that its players like getting tattoos since Dennis Rodman entered the court in the 1990s, sporting dyed hair, piercings, and tattoos. As it stands, the league mandates that athletes with brand name tattoos like J.R. Smith cover them up during competition or risk fines. Supreme brand. Since Supreme arrived on the scene, people have flocked to any opportunity to purchase their brand wares, whether it be a shirt or a crowbar. NBA players are the same. Even before Supreme reached billion-dollar status, its impact on nearly every aspect of pop culture had grown well beyond its modest skate shop origins. So when Nike and Supreme partnered to produce their iconic shooting sleeve, nobody expected that the NBA would ban players from using them, especially since the NBA was involved in its production. Black carbon fiber masks. Following a facial injury, a lot of athletes cover their faces with masks so they may continue playing without risking worsening their condition. However, the league did not appreciate it when athletes like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Kyrie Irving wore a black variation of the mask. When a more conventional transparent mask became available, the NBA quickly requested the players to switch to it. The NBA also decided to prohibit everyone from using black masks, with their reason being doing so would hinder referees from seeing a player's face and reactions for penalties. We did get some cool moments with our black masked superstars.